Pittsburgh Trivia is a production of Warrior House Media.
Welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia with your host, Jim Cannon, where uncovering the crazy truth and trivia about Pittsburgh is just the beginning. And who knows, you may even learn a few things in the process. We know life can get pretty interesting around Pittsburgh. Speaking of interesting, did you know that?
Hi, and welcome to Pittsburgh Trivia, an interactive show that will test your knowledge of all things Pittsburgh and the surrounding region. I'm your host, Jim Cannon. Thanks for joining me. Before we jump in to test your brain, please take note of our website, pittsburghtriviapodcast.com, where you can go to find the latest episode, and you can also subscribe to be notified when those episodes are posted. The show is absolutely free. So here's how Pittsburgh Trivia works. 2 rounds of 5 questions each, and then one final, slightly tougher question at the end. That's a grand total of 11 questions about our magnificent city. For each round, I will read the question and give a 5-second pause before going on to the next one. At the end of each round, I'll repeat each question before revealing the answers, along with some supplemental information. So you can have fun, tap into your own knowledge, and learn some things along the way. So those are the rules. If you're ready, let's get started. Round 1, question 1. What happened April 9th, 2001 at PNC Park? Question 2. This Pittsburgh University was the first in the U.S. to offer a bachelor's degree in bagpipes. Question 3. For over 20 years, Pittsburgh has hosted Anthrocon, an annual gathering of people known as this. Question 4. In the 1900s, Pittsburgh had a great deal of wealth flowing into the city. In fact, the city was rich enough to have not one, but 2 Millionaires rows, neighborhoods where the wealthiest of the wealthy resided. Name one of the 2 neighborhoods that were a Millionaire's row. And question 5, located at 1800 Columbus Avenue on the north side, next door to Bicycle Heaven, this music-oriented museum and collectibles shop features memorabilia from the music world going back to the 1950s. And the museum is named after the man who created it, who also is a local performer. Name this quirky little museum. All right, that does it for round 1. We figured we'd start off a little light. I mean, it was light, right? Well, I guess we'll see when we check the answers. Round 1 answers. Question 1. What happened April 9th, 2001 at PNC Park? The answer is that was the date of the first regular season game at the ballpark. It was an 8-2 win for the Reds over the Pirates on the day Pittsburgh legend Willie Stargell passed away. And it was also just 2 days before a bronze statue of Willie was unveiled outside the park. And question 2. This Pittsburgh University was the first in the U.S. to offer a bachelor's degree in bagpipes. And the answer is Carnegie Mellon University. Bagpiping's been a part of CMU traditions for more than 75 years. And in 1990, CMU's School of Music launched the world's first bachelor's degree in bagpipe performance. And question 3. For over 20 years, Pittsburgh's hosted Anthrocon, an annual gathering of people known as this. The answer is the Furries. It's also known locally as the Furries Convention, which just happened in Pittsburgh. These are people who dress like animals. Most of those involved have full animal costumes head to toe, and it's an interesting collection of folks from all over the place. But oddly, nobody in Pittsburgh really bats an eye anymore. And if you were downtown while the convention was here and had the opportunity to speak with some of the furries, they're very friendly, and a lot of them have real jobs and real lives. Hey, if they want to keep coming back, I say go for it. Question 4. In the 1900s, Pittsburgh had a great deal of wealth flowing into the city. In fact, the city was rich enough to have not one, but 2 Millionaires' rows, neighborhoods where the wealthiest of the wealthy resided. Name one of the 2 neighborhoods that were a Millionaires' row. So the first one is probably the one we all knew about growing up, and that's 5th Avenue in Shadyside. In fact, some of those mansions are still there, and Shadyside is still home to a lot of affluent Pittsburghers. The other Millionaires' row was along Ridge Avenue on the north side, kind of where CCAC is located. Now, there's still a handful of really beautiful homes there and the incredible brownstones, many of which have been remodeled inside. But that area's wealth showcase didn't hold up consistently like Shadyside did. And question 5, located at 1800 Columbus Avenue on the north side, next door to Bicycle Heaven, this music-oriented museum and collectibles shop features memorabilia from the music world going back to the 1950s. And the museum is named after the man who created it, who also is a local performer. The answer is Johnny Angels, named for Johnny Angel of Johnny Angel and the Halos, who perform locally and cover hits of the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. Now, this place is really cool. If you're into rock history, more specifically the doo-wop genre of the 50s and early 60s, you have to check this place out. There are photos and documents and just stuff from that music era. And then when you're done with that, head into the shop. You can buy vinyl records and fun little tchotchkes. I was in there a few years ago, and Johnny had an incredible collection of old vintage bowling shirts. That was like 2018, 2019. Well, I was just back there in May of this year, and all the bowling shirts were gone, which was a bummer, because I really wanted to start collecting them. But don't let that dissuade you. This is a great place to stop if you're looking for something unique and close to downtown. All right, that was it for round 1. How many of you attended games in 2001 when PNC Park opened? It was pretty incredible to note the differences between PNC and Three Rivers. Speaking of incredible, you are incredible for spending time here and listening to the show. So I have a favor to ask. If you're having fun with this and you want to hear more and more trivia, please stop by the website at pittsburghtriviapodcast.com and consider subscribing. You'll get a notification the second a new episode is posted. Or go to the website, find one of the links to your preferred podcast platform, head there, and subscribe, and or give us a like. We just want to see which platforms provide the best experience and which episodes of the show are the most interesting to you. So thank you for giving us that feedback. All right, here we go with round 2. Question 1. This bridge passes over Dean's Field, where Johnny Unitas used to play semi-pro football before his NFL career. It connects Polish Hill to this neighborhood with which it shares its name. And question 2. Totaling almost 4,000 square feet, 23 of these are in Heinz Chapel and feature 391 identifiable figures, plants, and animals. Question 3. What would Pittsburgh Trivia be without a tunnel question? When this tunnel was finished in 1958, it was the single largest investment to date by PennDOT at $18 million. It's just over 4,200 feet long and serves as the eastern gateway to the city for Interstate 376, the road we all know and love, or at least know. What is this tunnel? Question 4. In the 17 and 1800s, rivers were used as the superhighways of travel and trade. And one of Pittsburgh's biggest industries was boat building. The year 1811 marked the first year one of these watercraft was built in Pittsburgh. Question 5. Seems we have kind of a boat theme going here. Captain James Lawrence, commander of the American frigate Chesapeake, fought valiantly in the Battle of 1812. He's known for uttering as his dying words, "Don't give up the ship." But his name lives on in Pittsburgh. What connection does Captain Lawrence have to the city? All right, hope you did well. There were a lot of history-based questions there, so we'll see what you know and what you got to work on in the future. Here are the answers for round 2. Question 1. This bridge passes over Dean's Field, where Johnny Unitas used to play semi-pro football before his NFL career. It connects Polish Hill to this neighborhood with which it shares its name. And the answer is the Bloomfield Bridge. And Dean's Field was renamed for a slain Pittsburgh police officer, and it's now called Paul Sciullo Memorial Field. But yeah, Johnny Unitas used to play there. Pretty wild that this region has produced so many sports legends. And question 2, totaling almost 4,000 square feet, 23 of these are in Heinz Chapel and feature 391 identifiable figures, plants, and animals. And the answer is stained glass windows. The windows are made up of a total of 250,000 individual pieces of glass. And I'm going to quote their website. Quote, "The iconography combines traditional religious figures and symbols with historic and cultural figures that extend from biblical times through the Middle Ages to the late 19th century." Now, if you've ever been to the chapel, it's certainly worth a visit, and you'll see why so many couples choose to be married there. Question 3. When this tunnel was finished in 1958, it was the single largest investment to date by PennDOT at $18 million. It's just over 4,200 feet long and serves as the eastern gateway to the city for Interstate 376. What is this tunnel? Come on, that's an easy one. This is the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. Anyone, and I mean anyone who's ever driven that stretch of road, knows traffic is either going to zoom through, or if you get caught in the early to prime rush hour window, or if there's any special event, it's going to take you forever. And heaven help you if there's any kind of stoppage on the side of the road. But I'm going to leave you with this piece of additional trivia for this question. There's a website called Jalopnik, and it's all about cars. Well, Jalopnik listed exit 74 on I-376 at number 2 on its list of, you ready for this? The 10 worst exit ramps in the US, and in parentheses it says, and UK. It's that exit right before you head into the tunnels going east. It's a great test of your mental acuity and bravery, as well as your devotion to being a Pittsburgher. Question 4. In the 1700s and 1800s, rivers were used as the superhighways of travel and trade, and one of Pittsburgh's biggest industries was boat building. The year 1811 marked the first year one of these watercraft was built in Pittsburgh. And the answer is a steamboat. So the first steamboat in the country was built in 1787 by John Fitch, and it sailed down the Delaware River, but Mr. Fitch could not stay in business. Then in 1807, Robert Fulton, that name we've all learned since grade school, built a steamboat called the Claremont on the East River in New York that kind of kicked off the steamboat industry in the U.S. But the first one built in Pittsburgh was completed in 1811. And question 5. Captain James Lawrence, commander of the American frigate Chesapeake, fought valiantly in the Battle of 1812. He's known for uttering as his dying words, "Don't give up the ship," but his name lives on in Pittsburgh. What connection does Captain Lawrence have to the city? The neighborhood of Lawrenceville is named after the good captain. The town at the time was founded by William Foster, the father of American composer Stephen Foster, who was born there. All right, and that is it for round 2. I hope you did well. If you're keeping score, I'm not going to ask, but certainly hope you got more than 5 out of those 2 rounds. And now it is time for the bonus question. Let's talk condiments. Heinz ketchup is still one of the most iconic Pittsburgh brands ever. I mean, even though it's no longer manufactured in Pittsburgh, it'll easily be another 100 years before that brand and the city are separated. It's part of Pittsburgh culture. Speaking of long periods of time, that wonderful condiment actually started out almost 1,000 years ago in China as something much different before old H.J. tweaked the recipe. What was the original ancient ketchup concoction? And here's a hint, it was not vegetable-based. All right, and the answer is, you got to think back 1,000 years, the answer is fish sauce. So the original version was based on pickled fish and had soy sauce in it, and it was called, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce these correctly, ketchup or kochiop, meaning fish sauce. Because it was fermented, it traveled well, it was portable. In the 18th century, British and Dutch merchants brought the sauce back to Europe. And there were all kinds of different tweaks and changes, including one recipe that had mushrooms, anchovies, and walnuts. Yeah. The original catsup appeared in 1690, and the first tomato-based version in 1812. Fast forward to 1876, and Heinz simply improved upon the existing product and also started selling it in glass bottles. He was just a really good marketer, and the rest is history. But yeah, the next time you're dipping your fries in some Heinz ketchup, just remember that ketchup's great-great-great-great-great-granddaddy was made of fish. And that'll do it for another episode of Pittsburgh Trivia. I hope you had fun and learned a little something about our wonderful city. If you're enjoying the show, please let family and friends know about it. A good place to start is our website, because you can find links to the different platforms at the bottom of the page. And we're also on social media and occasionally post random facts about Pittsburgh. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
What? You're never gonna believe this. We'll leave that nugget for next time. So if you want more wacky Pittsburgh trivia, be sure to subscribe and we'll invite you back to our next episode. But if you just can't wait, visit our website at pittsburghtriviapodcast.com, where we think Pittsburgh trivia isn't trivial.